Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. So Jim Zub posted a question. This is the teacher inside of him coming out, posting basically a discussion prompt for everybody in comics that's interested in the survival of the industry. And it's really interesting because you see the whole dichotomy that's happening in comics right now. Comic book pros, and I think even more so the rest of the reading audience that has ignored a lot of the YouTube critics, a lot of critics of the industry. They've ignored it for so long, but now you're seeing them come to the same conclusions, whether it's independently or because they've been listening. I don't know that it really matters, honestly, because it's a little too late at this point. This almost feels like a post-mortem look at what was going on. Like we're cutting open the cadaver to find out how the thing died. So I'm going to get to this. Let me just show you real quick. I've been working on this project. I got hired to write The Silver Streak, and Chuck Dixon's on this book, as well as David Furr. These are the three writers involved. This is one of the covers, which looks amazing. Here's another one. This one was done by Preston Acevedo. He's one of the artists for the interior pages as well. And this is going to be going up on Indiegogo soonish. I don't know the exact date. I can't give it to you, but I can say if you join my mailing list, it's in the description below, then I will make sure you hear about it as soon as it comes out. All right, so Jim Zub, I want to get to you. I got to show you this comment. This is from Tarsik. Tarsik, if you're watching, I actually think that this was something really intelligent to say. So we're going to look at it. Tarsik said, brace yourself. I'm about to say something controversial. I think it's less controversial than you might think, though. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know in the comments of this video. Tarsik says, this is exactly what I've been trying to express for some time now. Once you dig down past the politics, past the ideology, you come up with the very same fundamental truths. And one of those truths is this. Many people in comics, in all of fandom, basically want the same thing. They want a story that talks to their heart. They want them to feel good about who they are or whatever it is they were going through at the time. He goes on. I think that's that's the quote I wanted to take from it. Deep down, we're all having the same problems. We want the same thing. We want books and stories that we can relate to and that we can enjoy and that we can be happy about and excited to get into and have some escapism. We all want that. The problem is we've got a few things in the way. One is not everybody wants everyone else to be able to enjoy comics. They want comics for themselves, and that's it. That's where they draw the line. And second, you have other people who are willfully ignorant of the comic book industry's collapse, that there are some serious problems going on. Now, Jim Zub sees what's going on. He's one of the few creators, and I know, Jim Zub, you're not a fan. You're not a fan. I just like Jim Zub. There's something about him I just like the guy. But we agree on this, that there are some problems in comics, and it's worth talking about and getting to the bottom of. Why aren't comic sales higher? So he's looking at this subreddit for comic books. It has 954,000 subscribers, but sales of comic books in any given month aren't even close to that. So he says, comic-based media has never been bigger. Social media, anyway, has never been bigger. Why aren't monthly comic sales higher? Is it price, availability, content, oversaturation, or something else? What do you think? I think every single one of these points that he said, price, availability, content, oversaturation, or something else, all of those things are true. He's right. He understands the problem. We agree. We're probably going to disagree on maybe some specifics and whatever the biggest problem is. But generally speaking, just like Tarsik said in the video, we all want the same thing. So he's seeing the same problem that I'm seeing. Now, he had a lot of people comment on it. I want to look at some of those. I did comment as well. And I said, I think comics of late have done a poor job targeting the average comic reader. Too many comics are made for the creator/company and not for the fans. And I'll tell you, I honestly believe that. I do believe there are other problems as well. That, though, is my critique specifically for the content of comics. If we're going after content, that's what I see as the problem. There's not a lot of books out there that just have mass appeal that everybody wants to sink their teeth into. However, there's a ton of, it's just saturated with all these really specific comics that go over and are just made for really specific narrow groups of people rather than, stuff that everyone can relate to. Kind of reminds me of, I haven't seen this movie. I don't even know if it's out yet, but there's the immigrant, he's from India, that comes to America, and he starts listening to Bruce Springsteen, and he just feels like it speaks to his soul, and he relates to every single aspect of it. I'm only talking about the trailer here. I don't know how the movie goes, but we've all felt that way, where you listen to music and you relate to it. I listen to Rage Against the Machine. And when I was in high school, I liked Rage Against the Machine quite a bit. Didn't know that really what was going on in their music lyrically, kind of silly to think about. But they didn't like me, I'm sure, or anything I stand for. Anybody like me? We have very different political beliefs, but I didn't know that. All I saw was like angry, angsty music, and I could relate to that. I would find a way to make it relate. Okay. It's not all that hard to do if you use universal themes, but if you're writing for yourself, if you're writing that narrow story that you just think, oh, this needs to exist, it's so important, and so you're going to go after this really narrow demographic, you're actually robbing, I think, that same demographic, because you could be telling universal stories that everyone can relate to and would actually bring people together. So that was my comment, and then this again, just internet rando, replied back to me with the very well thought out response of no. Period. That's all he said. Just no. I had a criticism of how comics are written and who they're marketed toward, and his answer was no. So I responded with excellent counterpoint, good talk. Because, what's the point of fighting with people on Twitter? He said, stupid statements get stupid responses. If you think comics are made for creators, maybe you don't like/associate with them while other readers do. This is where I feel like there's a really fundamental difference in how we view the world, because from my perspective, I don't really care who the creator is, what they're like, what they eat for breakfast, who they vote for, all that kind of stuff. I'm not calling for somebody that looks like me, believes like me, thinks like me. I'm not asking for that. What I'm asking for is for a universal story that is plain enough, it's mainstream enough that I'm not going to know nor care, and it won't matter who I am, and what I think and believe. I'm going to find something in there that I can relate to. You're going to find something in there that you relate to, and it doesn't matter that you're a member of a mental research group, avid Twin Peaks fan, and Australian weirdo, cis and bi, he, him. None of that's going to matter, because the story is going to appeal to both of us, because whether you like it to admit it or not, we're both human beings. I'm certainly not the only one that commented, though. There were other comments, and I like that he does this, like these discussion against the teacher and him coming out, discussion prompts, people get in there and have discussions and actually talk about what the meat of the problem is. We are probably not going to agree on specifics, but the crazy thing is, and I keep seeing this come up over and over again, is that we actually do agree. We care about the same kind of thing. It's just that because of tribalism or whatever side I'm on, whatever side you're on, we're not supposed to agree. Edwin Boyette had some comments. I'm going to read these here. He said, 1, there's no mechanism to drive new consumers to local comic book stores. That's a pretty good point. Number 2, primary audiences that are being aimed at now are more likely to be gamers or consuming digital media. Maybe those are the audiences they're going for. The problem is the audience they're going for is not the audience that's buying their stuff. Maybe we fully agree on this. I'm just working through it. Number 3, Marvel and DC missed the opportunity to put comic books in the hands of moviegoers. Absolutely, I agree that's a problem as well. Okay, here is another comment from Miracle Man. Miracle Man says, the most basic of all issues is price point. The big two are regularly $4 an issue. Smaller press mainstream publishers are more commonly $5 an issue. Add to that the increasingly easy access to and acceptance of piracy and overall diminishing of print media as a whole. Yeah, okay, I think we generally have some points that we agree on for sure. Okay, and here's maybe some hard truth. This was from Danny. He's saying, yes, even though the trend of comic book shops closing follows the overall reduction in brick and mortar stores, I think a lot of it's due to owners just not adapting. Young readers, trade paperback adaptations, etc. are all changing the industry, but some guys are still playing it too safe. Yeah, and there's criticism for comic shops too. I don't want to be one of those guys that pretends like comic shops are totally holy and sacred, like they have done nothing wrong and they're complete victims in everything. There's definitely you got to move with the times. However, I'm definitely going to be blaming Diamond and big publishers, especially Marvel, most of all, because they're the ones to blame for saturating the market with books that people are not interested in buying. Let's see, he's impressed with his local comic shop because they have a corner entirely dedicated to younger readers. I wish that my local comic shop actually made a trip there today. I should make a whole video on that, I guess. But yeah, I picked up some Batman and Ninja Turtle team up. I love Ninja Turtles. Okay, price is another one. He said here, I use Marvel Unlimited, $10 a month for 6 months behind release. $10 might cost me $2. Okay, yeah, so you get the idea. Price is a big factor. People are saying go digital. I still like physical comics, so I'm going to continue doing physical comics. Trade paperbacks make a little bit more sense, though. I have to say, buying, 4 issues today, that's way too expensive when they're $4 an issue. It's hard to catch up on, a whole series or whatever it is when it costs that much. Okay, and then here's one from Eric Christensen. Eric says, it's probably the dead trees comics get printed on. I have too much paper in my life as it is. The nice thing about trees is that you can actually plant trees and grow more trees. Comic books are not the death of the rainforest. They're not selling enough to really make a dent, let's be honest. But feel free to disagree, because that's what this is for. And I actually will read your comment. Not that I'm always going to comment back necessarily here, but please let me know what you think. What would you add to this list? What are the biggest problems? How do you think we could find higher ground with someone like Jim Zub or a lot of these other people that are making comments that I think, honestly, genuinely, we agree on 98% of what we're saying. We agree there's a problem, and ultimately we all want to make this better. Don't forget to like, subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, and join the mailing list, because we've got that book that's coming out soon, and it's gonna be really great. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.